Hello all, this is my life's philosophy and it's the best way I've ever placed it. Now I'm telling you that it isn't about doing more. It isn't about working more. It isn't about feeling like the weight of the world is on your shoulders just because you've started something that you feel is hard, even though you know it's worth it. Thinking that we have to reinvent the wheel or that we're alone. And we never are, we never have been. It is about doing less. You'll be able to use your life as a freedom ticket instead of one that becomes a burden. Do less, have more. Here's the secret. It's all your perspective. The 7 ways I am thriving instead of surviving. This, I believe, is the age of surviving in this world that is so chaotic, that is constantly asking for our effort, energy, attention, distraction, all of the things. Where are you putting your focus? Because more than anything, you are really strengthening that bond with the connection to God and to Source, who does most of the heavy lifting. I've spoken to hundreds of women and people as a life coach. The thing that we all struggle with the most is trusting that we're not alone and not feeling like it's a heavy burden to just wake up in the morning. I went through this myself, having been through relationship ups and downs, having been through the shame and guilt of the climate crisis issues, having been through university and the first worlds, who's doing better than the other. I've really learned to focus on what it is that I want, and that has simultaneously lifted the lives of everyone around me. This comes from experience, okay? That's what I really want to emphasize. I was in a lack mindset most of my life. Now I'm 25, I've been a life coach almost 2 years because I was just tired of it. I was tired of the shame and guilt, and I recognized that it was a decision. Everything that is happening for you has been a choice. I want you to notice that you say, when this happens, then this will happen. That is the way that we live. When I get the job, when I get the partner, when I get this, then I will be happy, then I will be rich, then I will be wealthy. But wealth is an abundance mindset. Wealth is ultimately a feeling. You don't actually want the thing, you want the feeling. So you want success, you think it comes with hundreds of pounds, hundreds of dollars, thousands, millions, however much you think success is. But ultimately what you want is to fall asleep with a clear conscience and a smile on your face and someone beside you, maybe. You want happiness, you want freedom, and you want joy. So as soon as you recognize what you want, you can reframe your focus towards creating more of that abundance for you, which may look different for you than for someone else. You don't have to look for permission outside of yourself. That's where we'll start. That's where I started. I'm looking at my notes. It all changed for me when I started prioritizing mental wealth over mental health. Mental wealth means we're thriving instead of just coping. Mental health seems to be perpetuating the story of lack mindset. And mental wealth is thriving because you get to focus on possibility, potentiality, and say, what if this happens? So you're giving a platform to the riches that are already there. You're choosing to see them. So I decided that I expect extraordinary. When you expect something, if you then take the action towards it, you will receive it. And that's what we're going to get into. So I expect extraordinary in my mentality, in my emotions, in my physical body, in my relationships, in my spirituality, in my financial aspect. Every single part of my life, I expect it to be extraordinary and nothing less. The way that I guarantee that I will reach my expectations is by aligning, which I talk about literally every single time I'm on here. It is the doing. It starts with the thinking, then the feeling, and then the acting, and then the results. But the key part is the doing, because one thing is thinking and feeling those desires that you want to have, and then it really is about connecting with the doing and the acting in order to get the results. And it goes round and round. And the thing is, this is also absolute key. I live by the golden rule. Treat others how you would like to be treated. treat others how you would like to be treated. And because we live in a mirroring universe, I treat myself how I'd like others to treat me too. And that's where we tend to go pretty wrong. At least in the mindset I was in for a long time, like almost a decade. I was putting other people before myself. I was saying, I should treat others how I'd like to be treated all the time, give, give, give. But I wasn't receiving. I wasn't putting it into perpetual motion. I wasn't allowing the wheel to turn all the way, which is treat myself how I'd like others to treat me too. We live in a mirroring universe. So when I treat myself the way that I want others to treat me, they will treat me that way. And I will get to treat others the way that I want to be treated. Because it's this whole abundance turntable. And as soon as we're in that mentality, we get to do less and have more. So it all starts, as I said, with knowing your desires. As soon as you know your desires and you move towards that with your action, you are seeing the world from the perspective of, I deserve this. I self-invest, so I only spend my focus and my energy on 6 things. Connection and service, number 1. I will never go into a conversation or any transaction that isn't heart-centered. Like, I want to leave you and your life better than it was before you met me or before we had that interaction. Connection and service is number 1 for me. Boundaries and exclusivity, number 2. And this isn't in any order, it's just a wheel. Yes, connection and service. Number 2, boundaries and exclusivity. When someone comes to you and wants to trauma bond, because that's kind of the world that we live in, it's so important to say, I'm not going to take part in this. And if they don't get the clue, you leave, okay? You don't have to share in something that you don't want to share in and that isn't perpetuating abundance and you leading to you having more, okay? So exclusivity is also about saying, I am part of certain circles, not always available. I am so willing and so kind, but if it's not reigniting me too, if it's not a two-way street, if you're not giving me the same effort, if it's not being returned, it can't always happen. So know where your effort is being spent/wasted. Then tradition and values. Okay, morals and ethics is at like the foundation of this circle, but genuinely tradition and values is where it's at, because so often we think that we can spend our time just on the next thing that is pleasant or pleasurable or good because it appears to be, but it's not actually furthering our purpose in this world. But if we don't actually stand by tradition, if I'm not feminine, I'm gonna be masculine and some other guy isn't going to be attracted to me and vice versa. So there's all these pillars that lie in tradition, which has lasted over like since humans started, right? So tradition is tradition for a reason. It has power. Values lie in that tradition. I dress in a certain way, I hold myself in a certain way because I'm in a feminine body, in a woman's body, and I go on in that grace. So really having a look at tradition, having a look at how to hold yourself, how to set the pace for things, all of that comes in alignment. Number 4, asking the right questions. You are the sum of all of your experiences and the way that you've assigned meaning to those things. So the way that I choose to ask questions, the way that I assign meaning to what happens in my life is how I'm going to turn out after that event. If I see an accident happen in the street, I can say, oh my gosh, at least that person was saved. Or I can be the person next to me who's saying, oh my gosh, there's an accident. Of course, it's just my luck to see this, like, worst day of my life. How are those things making you feel? Very, very important to ask the right questions in order to move forward with everything in your life that is summing up to who you're proud to be and to who can keep generating having more by doing less. Remember, we want to do less and have more. I said there were 6 things, there's 5. 5th one, last one. Taking calculated risks, okay? Do you even have a growth mindset if you aren't constantly challenging your comfort zone? Do you try to expand that comfort zone at all ever? What I do in my coaching containers is I expand what feels familiar to you. We go out into the world together, we say, what do you desire? And we're like, we're gonna make this more familiar. Today, I'm going to strive to make more things familiar to me, because I'm going to go and meet the things that I haven't met before, introduce myself, say, hey, like, this is something new and I welcome it. It might be scary, but it is so worth it. So if you don't take calculated risks, you're never gonna grow. Okay, those are the 5 things that I spend my focus and energy on. Yes, thank you for summing that up. I treat myself as the most important person because I am. I treat you as the most important person because you are. You're the center of your universe. I'm the center of mine. And people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. I know that the most valuable thing in this world is presence. And I've shared this before. The most valuable thing in this world is presence. You can give me all the money in the world, it's gonna leave me empty. Unless I have someone beside me who's getting when my eyes turn off, when my eyes turn on, when I'm smiling. And when they can receive that and reciprocate it. It's about being a wholehearted human being. That's what we all want, and this is how you get to do it. So when we are present, we can collect more of that calm and clarity. Okay, so this perpetuates our alignment circle, which, as I said, is think, feel, do, result. Think, feel, do, result. So that means that I get to treat others as, yes, thank you so much. That means that I get to treat others as the most important people. How to reframe our ups and downs, right? The best question you can ask every single time that you look at something, do something, want something, feel something, meet someone, anything happens, is, how does this serve me? How does this serve me? Because literally everything in our life that we assign meaning to, that we come into contact with, it all happens for us. So you ultimately want to live a life where you have developed habits that serve you. I see every single circumstance in my life as an invitation. When you get to see how something serves you, how something's inviting you to grow, then you can be that bigger person. I stay in my body and I never stop moving. Never stop moving. That's a big part. When you are aligned and when you perpetuate that circle of alignment, it's when you keep taking calculated risks that it can keep spinning. If I'm not in my body, then I don't actually know what desires I have that connect with the desires that God has for me. Like, I do His will on this planet. But it's so easy to get up in my head about what that will is. And that's when it can be disconnected from heart, source, from soul. I fall as fast as I can to rise as soon as I possibly can. I would rather fail faster. We've all done things that we know are not for us, and we stay. And let me tell you the one thing that will always tell you if something is for you or not. It's how you're feeling. Okay, check in with your feelings. I am so open to God telling me if something is or isn't for me, and I will act on that. And that's what I mean by fail faster. If God says, girl, this isn't for you, this is gonna hurt a lot. I know it's gonna hurt a lot to leave right now, but I know it's gonna hurt so much more to leave later, because I'll have wasted a bunch of time and I'll have hurt my trust with myself, because I'll say, I knew back then. Look back and say, that wasn't a real mistake. I knew that was gonna happen. So fail faster, get on to your next success as soon as you possibly can. Next thing I do, I seek brutal honesty over gentle lies. I am in relationships with my sister, with my mom, with my close friends in my life, with my coach, with my container, etc. Every single relationship in my life. Tell me where I'm not doing good. Thank you, Sophia. Yes. Tell me where I'm failing, where I'm not being wholehearted. Honesty always, right? Brutal honesty over a soft, gentle lie every single time. Because otherwise something will be in the way. You feel when there's walls around a heart. You feel when there's distance. And I'd rather be intimate with everything. That is what I mean when I say I'm an intimacy coach. It's everything in your life you need to be intimate with. Brutal honesty every single time. I get this the most from my sister. I'm very, very lucky to have a twin sister in this world. It is hard sometimes, but it is damn worth it as well. I care more about how I feel inside over how it appears outside. I literally spent, again, most of my life caring about how it appeared. And the worst part is it wasn't even conscious. I was not even aware that I was prioritizing how I was being looked at over how I was feeling. Now that I'm aware of it, it is mighty powerful to say, I get to choose. And when I'm in not an agreeable situation, it's beautiful to feel not attached to that reaction. It's because I expect extraordinary that I receive extraordinary. Okay, you always receive your lowest standard. You always receive your lowest standard. It's not about what you say that you want. That is not your standard. It's what you do. I surround myself with those who are overflowing with and are devoted to joy, because then I become more like them. Joy is the greatest rebellion. I have rebelled with Extinction Rebellion on the streets against the climate crisis. I have rebelled in many ways against my parents. I have rebelled in my life so many different ways. Sole effective way is by being the best that you can be, by feeling the best that you can feel. That it ripples out into your community and into this planet which needs it so much. And you get to do less and have more. DM me if that is what you want, so you can be in my circles too. Sending so much love.